What is going on, everybody? It is your second favorite podcast host, Jordan Watkins, right here with you. And Lou, my goodness, do we have a lot to talk about today? Obviously, the Warriors, Stephen Curry was back yesterday. The game did not go how we were hoping or expecting. We're going to talk a lot about it and also a lot of other things going on with the Western Conference and the NBA in general. And of course, if I'm going to talk about this, I also have to be here with your girl, the main one, Gina repping the Bay. Gina, what's going on? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. And we've got a special guest tonight. I was able to reel in an opposing fan from last night's game. We've got Suns Geek. And if you know anything about him, he is a TikToker and a YouTuber. And I want to say real quick hello to our other co host, the Wise Soul. What's up, Mac?
Hey, what's going on, y'all? How y'all doing?
Going on, Wise?
Rough day, but I'm here. So it's
Glad
Dub
to
Nation
see you.
time. Dub Nation time. So I'm excited.
Hell yeah, let's talk hoops.
Yo,
And let's bring in our guest right now.
What's up, everybody? How's it going?
hey, what's going on?
Good to see you. Thanks
Good
so
to
much
see
for
you.
joining.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me on. Sorry, I was game time decision like we were talking about before we went live. But
all
happy to
good.
be here. If you guys want to check me out, if you guys are watching me for the first time, Suns Geek at YouTube. I'm also doing the TikTok thing now. It's a lot of fun. I got over 7,000 subscribers on YouTube. Always uploading Suns content over there. Win or lose, always uploading the content.
See, I would like show the muscle more because that was just a slight. It was a slight flex. It was a slight flex. I show the whole. It was a slight flex. 7,000 slight flex.
I'm on opposing territory here, so I kind of had to flex a little bit and introduce myself properly.
That's fair.
And what's up, Tanya, in the chat, sis? And Jesus, Niner gang. Hey, this is a dub show tonight, but you know I'm Niners all day, so it's Wise.
It's still Niner gang. Don't let anything else fool you. It's Dub Nation tonight. It's always
Bang,
Niner
bang.
gang, though. Exactly.
Jordan's like, hell no. Hey, what's up? We're the Weird Ones podcast. They got it going on. I love their podcast. I checked them out a few times. Shout out, Weird Ones.
Shout out to anybody doing their podcast.
Yes. Always got to show love to all the podcasts out there, especially the ones that subscribe. And thank you for subbing us, Weird Ones.
That just sounded all kind of funny, but go ahead. I got it.
What's the Rihanna song? Like I'm gonna change it. Hey, I heard you were a weird ones.
Okay,
just a little bit.
Jordan did this with the vocals tonight. All right, I got it.
Ooh.
just a little bit. Got you. That's what's up.
So tonight, we do have some topics in that. Yes, Tanya says Warriors forever, loyal to the soil. And I put the banners in, Jordan and Wise. Let's see. We're going to talk. We've got some topics for our guests tonight. So we'll definitely get into some Sun stuff. We're going to first talk about Steph Curry's return because hence the banner we've got up there. I want to talk about he started off a little slow, and one of the things I tweeted last night was, he seemed a little rusty, although he did make some shots in the second half. But what do you guys think?
It was a weird situation. I felt like usually, and I think I saw there's this one stat where Steph, when he comes back from a game after missing 10 plus games, he averages over 26 points per game, shoots about 45% from the floor, 40% from three, things like that, right? But I felt like this time it was a little different just because of obviously the whole situation of the Warriors when he left, where, you know, Gina, we talked about this before. Before he left, they weren't having as much fun. You know, you didn't see the celebrations on the bench like you're used to seeing from the Warriors and things like that. And so he was the big catalyst for that. You know, he was a big catalyst. He was the one that, you know, he's going up and down the sideline, celebrating when Clay hits that big three. He was the one celebrating when he hit the big three against Atlanta, right? And Chase Center. It was Steph that led the charge. So I felt like it almost seemed like he felt this onus to lead the way again tonight, now on the court, though, instead of off the court. And after a while, he saw he kind of settled down into it. So I don't even think it was really rusty. It was just more so of him like trying to really lead by example on the floor. Mm-hmm. And once he settled down a bit, like you saw, you know, that third, fourth quarter, that's where, you know, we really saw Steph be Steph and make things work. So I think that's what it was.
Wise, any thoughts on that?
No, I definitely thought he was rusty. I mean, that first half was like, but it was to be expected, right? I mean, my guy's been out like a whole month, so it was to be expected, to be honest. Like, I mean, as great of a player Steph is, we can't expect him to come in right off the bat and just save us like that. Like, we asked a lot from him last night, and he delivered in the second half, definitely. Like, he came back, you know, you saw okay, we'll be okay. You know he's coming. Like, he's on the way back to where he needs to be. But as a whole, though, you know, I think Steph, he's a little rusty, but it wore off faster than I thought it was. Because I thought it would take a game or two before we got, you know, but I saw it second half. I was like, oh, yeah, we're going to be okay.
You could definitely argue, too, that the Phoenix Suns defense had a lot to do with that as well. Sure. And, like, every injury is different. I personally have had 2 shoulder injuries in 4 years, and they suck. So, obviously, he was approved to play. The doctors and medical staff approved him to play. But you could kind of argue, too, that the whole Warriors team was, like, slow to start and rusty and all that. But he still finished with 5 threes, 24 points or whatever it was. He's Stephen Curry. There was one play that stuck out to me, too, was like, might have been later in the fourth quarter. He drove in and kind of just flipped it up and decided not to shoot for once. That was just the aggressive, as you guys were talking about, lead by example, Stephen Curry. Follow my lead, Stephen Curry, greatest shooter of all time, which I've had to learn to accept that over the years, that he is the greatest shooter of all time. But he was, you know, if that's a rusty game, then I think because that's, what he put up last night, what he did last night is some players' best games. You know what I mean? So he was okay last night. If he were on my team, I would have taken it.
Well, and to top that off too, we could, like, the storyline of the whole game could have been different off one play, and that was, so he had the catch and shoot opportunity. It was on the wing. And Andre Iguodala was setting the screen. Damian Lee, credit to Damian Lee, it was a good flop. It was a very good flop.
Oh, yeah.
Steph makes the 3, but it was called off offensive foul. You know,
he just held it up.
The challenge, right? Like, who knows what would have happened in that game had that 3 counted, right? And again, that's the one where it's like, we've all seen it in the Bay Area before. Well, not even the Bay Area, like in basketball. Fan nation period. Steph hits that 1 3. All he needs is 1 to get going. And it felt like that was that one that was going to really turn the game around.
It was going to ignite everything. I
think it was a 14-point game at that point. And it was like, okay, you made this one. It's 11. Things are kind of turning a little bit. But, you know, obviously they called the offensive foul on it with Iguodala. But that's the thing. Like, you really never knew. It felt like that was going to be that point where it turned around. Then all of a sudden, you just never know. Because he's had those moments. I mean, even when he came back, was that 2 years ago? The Toronto game, right? The Toronto game against when he from the broken hand, I think it was that year. And you felt the hype in the building. It was different.
Like the picture on the banner.
He made an and 1 on a 3, right? And like he starts doing the. You know, and it felt different. Yeah. It felt different. That's the thing when Steph is back. Things just like that felt different, but since it got taken away, it kind of sucked the gravity out of the building for that minute.
Especially since you guys have a great home crowd and a great home record too.
Yeah.
When he hit that first 3 and then the 3 that you referenced to, that could have been a game changer. Jordan Poole had a couple of those shots too, where you're like, okay, Jordan Poole's heating up. And the Suns only have 8 or 9 guys on the court, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. I got a little nervous a couple of times when he hit a couple of those threes.
Hey Nate, oh, our moderator is in the chat. Thank you. He says, "Don't forget to smash that like button."
Smash the like.
Thank you
it.
so much, and make sure you subscribe if you're not already. Tanya says the Warriors are playing laziness and unintelligent basketball right now. And I wanted to get to your point, Jordan, that what you said earlier about, you know, the bench wasn't really active before Steph got injured. They were just kind of sitting there, not really like showing much motivation in terms of cheering. And then when Steph was injured and he's there on the bench and he's like riling everybody up, Clay, and even for Ty Jerome hitting those and Dante DiVincenzo, like finally now there's some excitement on the bench and hopefully, leading the way to get everybody excited for those big shots and everything. Hopefully now, and then having all these games at home, and then winning them now, hopefully that's extra motivation and to take that on the road. Even though there was a couple of like these last two, losses at home, hopefully they can take whatever they got from the wins at home as some sort of confidence. I mean, with all due respect, Suns Geek, we should have won that game with our Wiggins, Steph, Draymond, you know what I'm saying? Like Looney. Yep. I mean, we should have won that game with all your top guys injured,
I thought y'all were going to crush us, to be honest.
I mean, you guys played a hell of a game with Dwayne Washington Jr. I mean, he's the last couple games you guys, that he's played in, he's been playing his ass off.
Yeah. And we really, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Gina. We really needed that game. Like, it just happened to be against your guys' Warriors and everything. We needed it because I think for the last maybe month or so or less, we've been worse on defense, worse on offense. We don't look like the Phoenix Suns that won 64 games last year. We can't hit a shot to save our life. It seems like it's been chaos. You know what I mean? I really mean that. We won our last win prior to last night was December 27th against the Grizzlies. And after that was our 20th win. Everything just seemed to collapse. Guys were dropping like flies. Our offense looked different. We can't guard the paint to save our lives. So we needed a game like that. Our defense was absolutely solid last night. The offense was clicking. Guys were actually hitting shots. It was amazing. We even though you guys were kind of in the game in the first quarter, from the jump, we were on it, and that's exactly what we needed.
Right, we're a third quarter team, and you guys destroyed us in the third quarter.
I was going to say, I want to say this too. I think, to an extent, and I don't want to say this to take anything away from what the Suns did yesterday, but you could also sense that the Warriors felt that way too. No matter what was going on, no matter how poorly they started, all right, it's fine. We're down this much or that much. We can get it going. We're the Warriors. We have Steph back. We have Wiggins back. They don't have Devin Booker. They don't have DeAndre Ayton. They don't have Chris Paul. We can make things work. And I think Shaq, actually, if y'all heard what he said about in the post-game show last night, I think it's like, the Warriors feel like they can flip that switch. And the thing is, that switch is a whole lot harder than you think it is to flip. And that's what they were trying to go for. And again, they really didn't flip it until like maybe 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That full court press, getting those steals and really making things work. That's really when it happened. It's not that easy. But also the thing too is that it's not even just it's not that easy. There are other people on that team that weren't part of that championship run last year that are also falling into that trap of, oh yeah, we can flip that switch. Well, no, you can't. Anthony Lamb, I'm sorry, you weren't part of that team. You don't know what it's like to be the champion.
That dude is out of here.
If you don't know what the switch is, Dante DiVincenzo, as great as he played, he actually played a solid game yesterday. You don't know what it's like. You can't flip that switch. Actually, if there's anyone who knows about flipping that switch, they were on the other side of the floor last night, and Damian Lee. Yep. He's the one that knows what that looks like because he was there last year. So I think that's something that was really interesting. You kind of saw it, right, with the tenacity and the adjustment in terms of just the attitude and what's it going to take to win and get this happen. You saw how long it took to really flip it. And that's something I think the Warriors, they're still trying to learn in terms of how good they are this year compared to, their standard expectations, and also the level that everyone else is going to go into a game playing them with. Like, I don't care who the Suns miss. All the people that came into the game for the Suns last night, they're looking to beat the defending champions.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter who was there or not there. You're going to get everybody's best on every single night.
Absolutely.
I think outside of that core 4, core 5, that's something that I think still a lot of people in the Warriors are still trying to learn and understand.
Yeah, and just real quick with Damian Lee and how we were talking about the Iguodala play, he kind of low-key starts a lot of that stuff too, you know what I mean? But he's been absolutely fantastic for us. He's been a fan favorite. I think he's leading the league in three-point shooting as well. But you said, you said something that I really liked too, is like pretty much you can lose on any given night. And when I said the Phoenix Suns really needed this win last night, like we were desperate, man. So it just goes to show that the NBA is wide open. Anyone can win the championship this year. And again, doesn't matter if guys are injured or not. You can lose on any given night.
Well, hold on. Let me say something real quick. Like, we talking about Damian Lee, and the funny thing about it is, look at how we did last year when we had Damian Lee and he get in the games. We'd be frustrated as hell. We'd be like fans. We'd be like, "Yo, get Damian Lee up out the game." Put in Otto Porter. We had a few players on the bench last year that we felt that way, and a lot of this kind of goes back to what Jordan was mentioning earlier. Steph's leadership when he was out on that bench. Like, I don't think anybody knew how to behave on the bench this year. Like, we're acting different. Like, and I don't want to fault the young players, but I think it's the young players. We're acting different as far as, they might have felt like, oh, we won. We ain't got to do all the raw stuff on the bench. We'll just try to get in and get our game going. And Steph, he stepped it up, showing, hey, I'm out. But look, you got to get the players hype. You got to get the team hype. You got to know how to play your role. And I think a lot of issues we're having right now is I don't know if there's enough defined roles on the bench right now. I don't know if Kerr's gotten that situated out, how he wants to do it. The roles are yet to be defined. I think a lot of the young players feel like, hey, it's our turn. We're ready now. They might not be ready, but I think they feel that they're ready. And I don't want to say you got to get put in your place, but sometimes you got to, let it come to you. And we haven't gotten that yet. And the whole flipping the switch thing, I really hate that. Like, I hate that term. Like, Rod knows, like, the Lakers used to try to do that, like, when they were trying to three-peat. They would turn it on, and I feel like the Warriors have been playing this year like, hey, at some point we're going to flip that switch and turn it on to go into the playoffs. And I don't want to play like that. Like, that makes me nervous for this season. So
no, you're 100% right. And I mean, I don't want them to play like that either, but it's interesting when you look at some of the splits, right? Like, in terms of, I know we all hate plus minus, but I think unit wise, when you talk about it as a unit, not as just like player by player, it really can tell you something. Because remember, before all these injuries, the Warriors starting 5 had the best plus minus of any starting 5 in the NBA. So it's not even like the group that's been there that they've had that issue of getting things going, right? It's the other group, and like you said, right, identifying roles, right? And even with that, you see who's still hurt. Kuminga's out, Wiseman's out. All those young guys who were still trying to figure out where their position and their places in this rotation. Those are the ones that are out. You saw Moses Moody just a month ago talking about how much it sucks not playing, on a night to night basis. Those are the guys that you really need to figure out, where their place is and where their spot is in this team. And, then that's where, I think it gets difficult. But I think, like I said, in terms of that core 5 group, that starting 5 group, right, with Steph, Clay, Andrew, Dre, and Looney, I think they get it. And like I said, there's stats to show that they get it. Now it's up to like everybody else who was involved to also get it too.
I wanted to go to what I think someone was it Tanya JP, and then I wanted to expound on that because I had a question here that I wanted to bring up, which kind of goes to that. The Dubs bench, will they regress with Steph and Wiggs back? You know, the bench is going to be getting less minutes, so all kind of like ties into it. What do you guys think?
I mean, this is one of those things where I think that I don't think they'll regress. I don't want to say that for per se, because I think we saw this last year in the playoffs in terms of, remember when Steph first came off the bench when he came back from injury, and he even said it in the press conference of I hope I've shown everyone that it doesn't matter coming off the bench. You know, it just matters like how you basically like it, and like I don't he didn't say it per se, but I do think that was like, hey, Jordan Poole, like just letting you know you can come off the bench and still be productive.
Right.
So I don't think it's necessarily per se that, because I mean we saw how Jordan Poole had a great game last night.
Right.
As a sixth man coming off. So I don't think that's the case. Plus, besides Jordan Poole, he's the only one, in my opinion, that was getting starter minutes. Mm-hmm. When the two were hurt, that actually have a case of like I could be a starter. So I really don't think that should regress anything. If anything, I would say that I would hope that people would feel less pressure now that those two are back. You know, now you don't have to try to put up these crazy big time numbers or production. It's, you know, Steph and Wiggs, they're going to do that. Now there's less pressure on you to make things happen. And no, I mean, Tanya's right. Like, he got things going with free throws, but it's crazy because if you look at his stat line at the end of the game, by the end of the game, it looks like he had a good game.
Right.
Like, it really looked that way. So that I really don't think that people, you know, having a smaller role, I don't like saying smaller, I think it's more so a different role, that really shouldn't matter now that Steph and Andrew are back.
And I forgot to mention that Rod is in the house, and Sons Geek. This is Rod, one of our co-hosts on the channel, and Rod in the house.
What up, everybody? Hey, a little bit late to the party, but you know, hey, we're here. I'm just listening to, you know, some good stuff. I love this night.
Yeah, NBA Sons Geek. What do you think about what the Warriors got going here? With I mean, we saw some good minutes with Ty Jerome, and I mean, he's making a little name for himself. And Anthony Lamb.
Ty Jerome. Yeah. So wait, was the question, will Steph and Wiggins regress, or is it the bench regressing because
the bench?
Okay, yeah. My whole thing is, I feel like you guys do have talent on your guys' bench. Like I've always liked Dante DiVincenzo. I've seen a little bit of what Ty Jerome could do when he was with the Suns. He sometimes would show flashes. I know that Moses Moody has a lot of potential and everything. I don't know what you guys are doing with James Wiseman, but I think it all comes down to trust and opportunity. Will Steve Kerr trust his guys? I feel like we've kind of been talking about that a little bit. You know, when it counts, like if you guys get injured or if guys just aren't performing that well. But Jordan Poole coming off the bench could be huge. I don't know how many games he started or come off. And I hate to use this example, but look at the Russell Westbrook coming off the bench. The Phoenix Suns have been flip-flopping players on and off the bench, which sometimes can be a good thing. But in my opinion, it's all about consistency. If you're going out there and you're missing a bunch of shots and you're playing terrible defense, I mean, you shouldn't be starting. But Jordan Poole last night, he had a look on his face. And I just felt like he was taking that opportunity coming off the bench. And there was just this 1 3 that stood out. I don't know if it was like fourth quarter, third quarter, But when he hit it, I was like, oh crap, the door's wide open for this game. But Jordan Poole's solid. You guys got some other talent on there. I hope Ty Jerome's been good for you, and I really mean that because he's obviously stuck around on that roster. He has playmaking abilities, but he just hasn't really been consistent in this league, especially when he was with the Suns and everything. But I mean, he's on the defending champion team, so that's pretty cool for him. I hope that answers your question too. There's some guys on your roster I don't really trust, and obviously you guys are pretty top heavy in my opinion, kind of like the Suns in a way.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, I think some players can really do, like we saw Otto Porter Jr. doing well last season.
He was solid last year.
Gary Payton the second, he made his way through the G League and a team here, a team there, and then finally made a name for himself and helped us tremendously with getting that ring. And I think he's both those guys on the two-way contract are definitely doing some good things for us for sure. If anyone has anything else, I did want to talk about, we can always go back and forth, but I wanted to talk about when you were bringing up this, and I wanted to talk about what the difference maker was last night because of, the good things that were happening last night, breaking the losing streak at our expense. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, in my opinion, it was just the Suns' defense from the jump. And you guys mentioned that the Warriors are a good third quarter team, correct? Well, the Suns are a terrible first quarter team, especially as of late. And since we got the jump on you guys, even though, like I mentioned before, it was kind of close for a little bit, and then we kind of went on that run. We extended the lead to like 14 or something like that, and it got a little higher throughout the game. But just from the jump, we were on it. We actually played team basketball, and we played team defense. We were contesting shots. Obviously later in the fourth quarter, we sort of ran out of gas a little bit, but it was just the game that we needed. We were just connected on all levels. And again, the fact that like Mikal Bridges was out there and Damian Lee and guys you kind of think second of, like Chris Paul, no Devin Booker, no DeAndre, and this was huge. And like when you have guys like Dario Saric, who almost had a triple double last night, that is absolutely fantastic. Just some of these role guys, kind of like I mentioned with your Golden State Warriors bench, they took advantage of the opportunity, and pretty much in a way, everyone shined last night. I mean, Bismack Biyombo had a good game, lots of players up and down the roster, and it was just, we were consistent. We're actually hitting our threes, which we really struggled with. And, I can't really recall how the officiating was last night, but Damian Lee, 14 for 14 from the free throw line. That's another thing too, is like, I know that every fan base probably hates the officials, but I really do believe that the officials have it out for the Phoenix Suns. So any time that we actually get to the free throw line, I don't care if it's Bismack Biyombo or Devin Booker or Damian Lee, that is huge for us. And we got to the line last night. So hopefully that answers your question. I mean, we've just been brutally injured. Like I mentioned, our last win was December 27th. And prior to that, we were pretty inconsistent. I think we had lost 9 out of 10 games. The losses were overshadowing the wins. I even was saying on my show and my podcast and everything, I was like, I don't even remember the last time we won prior to last night. So it's been pretty brutal, but I will say for both of our squads it's a long season. I mean, we're not even at All-Star break yet.
Yeah.
We're eventually going to hit the quote dog days of the NBA. Teams are going to get healthy. I hope and I pray that happens. And we're going to really see who are the contenders and who are the pretenders. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. I feel like there are three things I point to. First and foremost, as we can't overshadow it or overlook it. You went against the reigning defending world champions last night. Like everyone is going to have their antennas, raised up when that's the case. Not only that, you have a lot of guys who don't get to play as many minutes or have to contribute as much as they usually would against said reigning champions.
Yep.
So that's a big part of it too. And then again, I think also another part was, I think a lot of those guys really wanted to do a whole lot better for Damian Lee last night. That was his ring ceremony. And so it's, you know what, it's a special night for him. And I think even some post-game quotes, they even related to that as well. Like, you know, this is a big night for him. I want to make it for him. You know, Sadell was there. Miss Sonia was there. Aisha, the whole family was there.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think they all kind of took off from his tempo in terms of, you know, you talked about, like, I think he was what, 14 to 15 or 14 to 16, something like that.
Yeah.
He was aggressive. And I think the rest of the team really kind of went off his beat from that. It was funny. Even there was this one three I think he made, I think it was at the end of the first quarter, kind of a pull-up three going to the left. And even Steph was looking from the side, from the bench, like,
what?
Yeah.
That, you know, but like, you could sense like it meant something a lot more. And I really do think it meant something a lot more to the Suns than it meant to the Warriors until late, where the Warriors tried to click it on, and it was just too late for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I know how much that night meant for him. I mean, he even said after the game, he was like, "I circled this game when the schedule came out."
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just a great night. Like, we really just needed the win, and it just happened to be against the Warriors.
I like how you mentioned.
Shout out to Danielle.
We're only halfway through the season, or we're about to hit the All-Star break. The best thing, I look at it as far as a Warriors fan, and you as a Suns fan, you can look at it as well. Nobody's really pulling away in the West right now.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Like, nobody has stood out saying, "Hey, we're the team now." So if it stays status quo, or I think teams will start separating themselves, and since it's still a tight group setting right now, like nobody's, like I said, pulled away, we'll start seeing who's really contending and who's serious and who we need to really worry about. And it's really open. The West is open, and I don't remember it being this open halfway through the season where I can't say, "Hey, that team is a team to look out for." I mean, Memphis, I'm not saying Ja said he's not worried about the West, but I'm not worried about Ja. Denver is beatable, even with Joker doing what he's doing. It's wide open right now. Until somebody pulls away, there's no need for, I don't think, the Phoenix Sun fan base or Dub Nation to like panic and say, "Hey, we need to get it together." But we do need to get it together. But everything is still
squads do. Yeah.
Right. It's still close right now. So
no, I mean, 100% agree. And the crazy thing is, even some of the teams that we expect to, because I think right now as we speak, Denver is at the top of the West.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of teams that aren't even going to be in consideration for, you know, playoffs or playing down the road. They're going to have a lot to say about the seeding in the West down the road, right? Like, I think we all saw how Utah started off, right? Utah was at the top. I still think Utah is going to be a playoff team when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
They're going to have a lot to say in terms of who they beat and who they don't beat. For who, you know, makes some playoff games. Again, I'm still, and Rod's in here, so I got to shout out his team. They don't look the hottest right now, but who knows what the Lakers are going to look like, right, when it comes down to it, and how LeBron's going to try to lead
missing
that team.
One player.
Yeah, well, they miss him a good bit. So,
Mr. Injury Prone.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's what do they call him? Mr. Data Davis, but
Mr. Glass.
Yeah,
Mr. Glass.
But no, that's the thing. There's just so many teams that even if they don't make the playoffs in the West, they will have a lot to say of what goes on in the West, and that's what makes it so fun.
Absolutely. Tanya makes a good point too. Yeah.
No, yeah, they had to win on the road. Absolutely.
We've got to get past that 500, and there are a few teams that are actually right there. I mean, like you said, Jazz were at the top. Now they're in 10th place. But I agree. They're going to get back to that level. Denver, I agree, is beatable. The Mavs, the Mavs and the Grizzlies were the ones that I was a little more afraid of last season. Now that I know that we could beat them, Mavs didn't get any better. in fact, they probably got a little worse losing Jalen Brunson and getting Christian Wood. I mean, no offense to Christian Wood, he's good, but I mean, it's not like they got better. And then the Grizzlies are the same, essentially. I mean, I'll give it up to Jaren Jackson Jr. You know, he's doing really, really, really well, but I mean, I'm still not scared now.
Yeah. You mean
Don't tell lies on that.
What's that?
The best player on the Grizzlies?
Don't tell lies on that.
He is good. I give you that, but I mean, come on, he's not better than Ja. I know you love him, but I mean, you know,
he's the best player on the Grizzlies. I mean,
No.
I'll stand on that. So
he's doing great. He is doing great. I get that, but you know,
I mean, I guess the way I look at it is in the West is 13 deep in terms of who can beat you. The reason why I say 13 is because obviously 13th right now is Oklahoma City. And they have the most clutch player in the NBA right now, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So if you get a close game with them, who knows how that's going to go? So
we could lose to them, right? Like tomorrow.
They have 18 wins. If you would have told me they have 18 wins right now, I would have called you crazy at the start.
Right, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's a lot of variance, not even just in terms of who's going to be like. Again, I'm not saying Oklahoma City is going to be in the playoffs, but they're going to have a lot to say in terms of who does make the playoffs and where they're seated.
Same thing with Portland too. Just saying. I mean, if we're looking at the standings, and Minnesota, I know they've kind of had a train wreck of a season, but they might be able to get into the play-in tournament. Just saying. I mean, I think when you said 13 teams, that's pretty spot on, man. The West is so loaded.
Yeah,
and the Pelicans, my God. I mean, Zion back. If they get Zion back, I mean, it's over. You know.
They are we pretty much already had a playoff series against them, and they are. If they are fully healthy, that team is probably going to the Western Conference Finals. They are that good of a team.
I agree.
Yeah, they're really good.
They're scary for sure.
What say you, Rod?
I concur with everything you guys are saying right now. I'm more laughing right now with what I said, which you guys just put that back up, Gina. That's hilarious right now. And that's why I couldn't. It's so right that it had me laughing because I'm like, this is all the stuff I say behind closed doors about AD, and people seem to run from it. I'm like, yeah, a healthy Anthony Davis, he's a top 5 player, but we always know what we're getting right here. You know what I'm saying? And this is it. This is what we get. This Anthony Davis, the one that's not on the floor every night, but the one that's on the floor that has been playing this year. We only had it for 1 year, and that also got a rest. So you might as well call that an injury too when we picked it back up and won the championship. So,
you mean when you got 4 months off?
I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, exactly.
It's just crazy. Like I don't want to sit here and say he doesn't take care of his body the way he's supposed to. Like I can't say that about him, but it's like some of the injuries he gets, I'm just like, how?
Some are free. Yeah, so a lot of them are just freak answers, and how do you get them? You know what I mean? Yeah. And when you see them, don't get me wrong, like you see the replay, and you're like, ow. But it's like, how do you get them? How did they fall on you?
Hey, Adam.
Like there's some of those where it's like, okay, no, like, you know, that's a freak injury. I can't fault you.
Right.
But the ones that aren't, it's just like, I'm pretty sure, especially since you have the prime example in your own locker room of someone who has probably taken care of their body the best they have ever had in NBA history, right? Like, how do you have some of these injuries when you have your own role model like right there?
Yep. He does not take care of his body.
Man, y'all could cook them all you want. Hey, wait. That's like saying, hey, hold on, Warrior fans. Let's not act like Curry was walking pretty at the beginning of his career. Now,
I mean, he had the gummy ankle. Like, he had the gummy ankle.
Let's not act like he was just Mr. Goodyear walking around there. He had some bad tires himself.
I agree. He had the glass ankles, if you will.
Okay, I was about to say a lot of people.
Was it Shaq or was it Charles Barkley that said that AD could use some yoga?
Probably both of them said that.
All I know is I've done some yoga, Yeah, I think everybody could use some yoga.
That's fair.
I have a homegirl. I have a sister. Shout out to Roz, who is a yoga instructor. So I know, and I agree. But hey,
Namaste.
it's hard to tell $100 million player what to do. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Hey, Rod,
you can't get an argument.
Danielle's got a message for you.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's true though. It's true.
You know, I just you got to look at when y'all throwing, stones at AD.
4.
I'm like,
yeah, but AD still getting hurt. Like Steph got hurt early in his career. AD is he's hurt like every season. Like it's something. At some point, you got to be like, look, I'm only gonna give you 45 to 50 games.
You just got Steph back last night. Calm down, man. He was hurt. See, that's what I mean. Like, you can't throw this.
But it wasn't ankles. It was the shoulder. And he's, what, 34?
Does AD not get hurt every season? Since you had him as a Laker.
This is like 25.
I mean, we saw you about to make an argument that Steph is as injured as AD.
No. He is being healthy at the proper time for you guys to capitalize on. Let's keep it a buck now.
I feel like, what does that mean? Explain that.
Okay, so when we got hurt against the Suns that year, what happened? Were we up in a couple of games that year, and then didn't AD get hurt?
That was 2021, correct?
Correct, right?
Yeah, I think AD got hurt.
We were up.
Remember the infamous Andre Drummond LeBron meme? That was kind of
the back. Yeah, we all remember that.
But I think AD got hurt prior to that because Chris Paul got hurt in that series too. Just saying. But yeah.
Mr. No Ring, Chris Paul. Okay, yeah. Mr. Blow leads, Chris Paul. Oh, okay.
Zero rings, Phoenix Suns. I've heard.
Yeah. Point got bitch. You know,
how good are the nachos in Phoenix?
Just saying.
Hey, you know what? We served up Charles Barkley after that, man. We literally brought him his own nachos, and he said he is the biggest, like, I don't want to say hypocrite, but he's like, I don't know. He's so like fragile with us, and one day he's on our side, the next day he's not. He's Chuck, man. You guys know him.
That's the best way to put it. It's the best way to put it,
man. Yeah. No disrespect, Tanya. You was holding up for your boy. I agree. I know you're a Warriors fan, but you was holding it down for Mr. Glass. I agree.
Can we be real though? Like the entire league is injured right now. I'm not even joking.
Absolutely.
Like Damian Lillard's had injuries. Zion just got hurt. Devin Booker's been hurt. I could go up and down the list. Like,
absolutely,
it just sucks. I was saying this early in the season. I was like, I want to see a season where like at least 90% of the league is healthy, even throughout the playoffs. Because that way we can't be like, oh, this guy was out for this series, or you guys wouldn't have won this game if this guy wasn't injured. Like, I want to see a fully healthy season and playoffs. That way, whoever wins is the most talented basketball team because they were pretty much fully healthy.
Right. I mean, that sounds nice, Suns Geek. I mean, it sounds nice, you know, but it's
but every day there's a new injury.
Right.
Every day.
It's not only who's the best team, it's also who has the most luck. Like Rod kind of mentioned earlier, there are times where people get injured at the wrong time and people get injured at the right time. And
you're telling me, man.
Breaks, right. Exactly. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I definitely want to see the league at full strength. I don't want to see a lot of fake injuries like load management. Shout out to Kawhi Leonard.
Right.
I don't want to see
James
stuff
Harden.
like that. Yeah. You know, people that play hurt but aren't really, you know, doing
Shout out to Danielle.
I don't know what you guys think about the Phoenix Suns, but let me tell you, that's one thing they will not do. They will not load manage. Like Devin Booker, if he could, he'd be playing right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, everyone on that roster wants to play. I don't know if that's how it is for the Warriors or whatever, but Suns want to play.
Steve Kerr sort of makes them, I mean, you know, like Clay doesn't do back-to-backs, for example, because of his 2-year injury. You know what I'm saying?
That makes sense.
Yeah,
not Clay.
For Boss Man 99. That's it.
Oh, yeah, that's the exception. Always an exception, right? We do not speak for Jay Crowder right now. He's oh god. I could go on and on about that whole situation.
Jay Crowder.
I know.
You guys want a Jay Crowder? He's pretty much for free at this point. Just
Draymond said, "Ain't you from Buckhead?"
He's not from Buckhead. He's from Villa Rica. Okay, I know exactly where he's from. I know where he's
right
from.
down the street from me right now. Literally.
Right after
go tell him to get traded already, so that the Suns can move on, man.
You can move on.
That's crazy.
He's right west of Douglasville. I know where he's from.
Exit 20.
Exit 20.
Exit 20.
Off of 20. Just saying.
It's off I-20 West. Yes.
oh, we got Blue Cup rod tonight. I didn't even notice that. All right.
Oh, I'm home, baby. Just to let y'all know, Blue Cup
rod is
Blue Cup gang, and Red Cups are invited as well. But Blue Cup, if y'all know, you know. Just know.
Got my White Claw Seltzer Surge.
See, there we go. This, hey, every night we have a show. I need everybody to put the blue cups in because you know what blue cups mean, you guys. Blue cups are in. Let's go.
Here.
We thank y'all. I appreciate you guys.
Team Blue Cup.
Team Blue Cup, baby. That's all you know. Blue cups are in. Red cups are invited.
Red cups are.
Don't take that. Don't take that. I'm gonna make that a shirt.
Nice. Yes, we need.
That's
gonna be part of the merch, Rod. See, for GinaReppinDaBay Productions channel.
You
gotta wait till after this week because you know the Seahawks wear blue and then the Niners are red. So you gotta wait.
That's right.
That's why I say red cups are invited.
I was saying, I'm the non-Niners.
Right. And you of all people should always have a red cup. You should always have a red cup. So we should know that part. It's all good.
I just got some stuff. That's my bad.
You good.
So any more contenders? And we don't even have to talk about the West. We could talk East if you guys want.
Oof. I mean, this is. I mean, I think honestly, this is probably going to be one of my, when it's all said and done, one of the more fun season I've watched in the NBA, just because again, you just don't know who's going to win it. Yep. There's no 73-9 team that's going to come out of one side. I don't think you're going to have a 60-win team that comes out of any side. So it's just so much fun. It's where it's so hard. Like we said, we just talked about how 13 teams in the West can influence who wins the West. Whereas, in the East, maybe it's not that many. I'd say maybe it's about 10 or 11 teams that can influence it. But it's just, oh my goodness. I think that's what makes it so much fun. I'm a fan of parity, and I love the fact that there is so much parity in both conferences.
More in the West, definitely, than in the East.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely more in the West. In the East, I mean, I still like Giannis and the Bucks. If they just do what they need to do, they should come out the East. I mean, I know KD and them have been playing well lately, but Brooklyn, I still don't trust Brooklyn. I'm gonna just be honest with you. I don't trust Brooklyn. They haven't given me a reason. I know they had a nice little hot streak and all, but I don't trust the Kyrie KD dynamic in Brooklyn. I'm happy that they're playing well and they're doing something, but I don't trust it. I'll never trust James Harden in the playoffs. So Philly is automatically going to be out of my mind because I just don't feel like Harden does what he needs to do when it comes to the playoffs. So, I mean, Boston's a threat. We know that they should be, one of the favorites in the East. Other than that, Miami's been playing terrible. Atlanta, no. I do like Cleveland.
I know.
I do like Cleveland. Oh, sorry, Jordan. I do like Cleveland. I wasn't sure how Donovan Mitchell was going to fit, but Cleveland is nice. I can argue.
Yeah.
Next year, they'll probably be one of the favorites in the East. Cleveland they are building something really nice there, and it's good to see. So
Yeah, I'm going to back all that up pretty much. I think Philly, this is just a personal bias. I think Philly is a little bit better than we're giving them credit for. That's just me. I understand the whole James Harden thing, but as long as Joel Embiid's healthy, that's what you really got to look out for. Tyrese Maxey's a stud as well.
I love
their
him.
whole thing is just health and consistency, in my opinion. Cleveland, though, I totally agree. I think next year and even the year after that, they're probably going to, I mean, they're contenders right now, but like, in a couple of years from now, they're going to be absolutely solid. Brooklyn, in my opinion, is just the defense. Like we all know what they can do on offense. They just got to be, they can be solid on defense. Boston is elite. And again, kind of like I mentioned with OKC earlier, like if you would have told me that the Pacers had 23 wins this year, I would have said y'all are crazy. They're really good. Tyrese Halliburton's solid. But there's just a few teams that I don't trust. Like I don't really trust the Knicks, although they were decent for a little bit. I don't trust the Miami Heat.
Shout out to Dan.
Atlanta's crazy right now. And Toronto's like, I don't want to say they're borderline rebuild, but they're borderline like retool. Like they got so much going on in Toronto. So I think it's kind of maybe top 6-ish heavy, but really it's like Boston, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Philly, and Cleveland. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, the crazy thing about it too is I know, and again, like me being from Atlanta, and Rod, you can understand this too. Everyone liked to call the whole Trae Young, Luka Doncic thing a win-win trade. A true win-win trade is Domantas Sabonis for Tyrese Halliburton.
That was crazy.
That is a true win-win.
That was crazy.
By the way, since we said that, De'Aaron Fox needs to be an all-star. Just want to say
absolutely.
The
Kings are going to make the playoffs.
Rocking.
Just saying.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, the
Lakers
Kings
beat them another night. Shout out to my Lakers.
My Hawks beat them by 3 the other night too. So
didn't we beat your Hawks too?
They're terrible on defense. The Kings are, but they're great on offense.
I'll say this. I will apologize to certain Kings fans. Being out here in Sacramento, I get into it with a lot of Kings fans. So the whole beam thing, like that, that drove me crazy. I'll get a text message every night. Hey, like the beam, and cool. It's clever, but
I didn't even get that thing. What fucking beam,
I'll be honest. Obviously I wanted the Hawks to win. I went to the game up there when the Hawks played the Kings, but I was like, you know what? If we lose, I get to see the beam. That's kind of cool. But,
okay, can somebody explain it to me? What is it?
It's just like this big laser beam that they point up from the top of Golden One Center whenever the Kings win a game. It's like a purple laser beam, shoot straight up.
Yeah.
For
we didn't
me,
get to see it when we beat them.
I was just gonna say, for me, I personally like it, but if people were texting me all that stuff, I get annoyed with it too.
Right,
I think it's cool, man. The Kings really haven't had much in the last 16 years. I think they had one decent season a few years ago, but it's like they got De'Aaron Fox now. They got Sabonis
against the Lakers, right?
Might have been.
There's a Netflix series about that.
Ooh.
The funny thing about all of that is, I'll stand on this. Even though De'Aaron Fox is having an all-star season, I still believe in the long run they traded the wrong player. Like, I think Halliburton is for real. He is.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, he is.
I think
me too.
If they could have kept him and still gotten Sabonis by getting rid of Fox, long term, I think it would have been better. And I was a big De'Aaron Fox fan coming out of Kentucky, but
that's fair.
That's fair. I think in the long run, Halliburton is going to be the more impactful player long term. So it's funny because it kind of reminds people of when we had the Monte Ellis Steph thing. You have fans who like don't trade Monte, but in the long term, it was like, yo, Steph is better for us. You got to let it go. Yep. And they made the right trade. Did the Kings make that right trade? Only time will tell. But right now, De'Aaron is balling. So Swiper. Enjoy the All-Star game. I mean, it's in Utah, but enjoy it.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. I guess the only thing for me is like if you're bringing Sabonis back to return. Oh my gosh, that's right. The All-Star game's in Utah.
We're not going.
Why is on the road tonight? Shout out to my.
But the thing is, like, obviously Sabonis is a big ball handler in terms of like being a facilitator, as a big man. Because don't get me wrong, like I also thought, like, what are they doing? Why did they make this trade when it happened? But now when I see how they operate, it's like I kind of get it, right? Like, Fox is not going to be. He can be a facilitator if need be, but that's not his primarily objective. So now that you have someone who is that like Sabonis, that's the guy, right? The offense runs through Domantas Sabonis. Whereas if you still had Halliburton there, I think the effectiveness of Sabonis, it wears off, because then you have two guys that are going to be like those distributors. So I think in the end run, as much as I did question it too when it happened, I do think they kind of got it right.
Time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell.
Time will tell.
Right.
So.
But right now, it's a win-win in my opinion.
Yes,
definitely.
Yes, absolutely.
Definitely.
I'm surprised the defense hasn't been doing that well, since Mike Brown is more of the defensive sort of guru. He did, so well on the Warriors with that. And we're struggling, without Mike Brown for a while this season.
They only have like two really defensive-minded guys in their rotation. I mean, you have Davion Mitchell, who, again, his nickname is literally Off Night. And then Rashawn Holmes, he's good. But besides that, everyone else, like, they don't really have defensive-minded guys in their rotation like that. So
not a lot of guys are either across the league. I'm noticing that.
Yeah.
That's lacking severely. Everyone thinks you got to be, top notch on offense. And it's like, I noticed the times have changed in the NBA with that. It's like, shoot the ball.
Great offense trumps great defense. That's just the league we live in now.
That's
sad,
yeah.
Because I consider myself like an NBA historian, and back in the day, it's not how it was. Nowadays, it just does not matter. Like, the Suns at times can be a great defensive team, but we were a better defensive team last year than we were this year, and just great offense. It doesn't matter. It will always trump it, at least for the next 10 or so years.
I totally agree. It's hard to see somebody who makes the all defensive team now, or who's a good, two-way player. It's like, I don't see it. It just doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of head scratching to see the certain picks for the all defensive teams. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have anybody who can lock down a score now. Like, hey, take him out of the game, or not take him out of the game, but at least make him hard, make it difficult for him. You can get 30 points in your sleep. That's why Jordan, when you hear stuff that Jordan says, I can average almost 45. I agree. Growing up, watching Michael Jordan, I could see him averaging 44 with ease in this, because now the way the foul, the play calling, there's no hand checking anymore. That alone right there, kids don't understand how much of a game it truly has changed once that factor is out.
The only question for me is, defensively, how much did Jordan also benefit? Like, as a great, and don't get me wrong, he would be a great defender without hand checking. I'm not trying to say otherwise, but how much did he also benefit from hand checking as a great defender?
And then that's my point. I think even if Jordan was to look at it and what he could capitalize mentally off of that, and being kind of the competitor that he is, Jordan got a lot of calls that, doggone well he shouldn't have gotten. But because of his stature and who he was,
plus he'd also have to extend his defense further out a whole lot more now than he would have back in the 90s. So
absolutely.
I mean, again,
having him coming at you.
Well, here's the thing. Like, this generation,
exactly.
I'm kind of close to it. This generation doesn't respect some of the greats and the ghosts, ghosts as they should.
Right.
So like, people wouldn't understand. They wouldn't be feared, or they wouldn't revere seeing Michael Jordan against them. Like,
this league wouldn't handle. Right, this league couldn't handle a Charles Oakley, let alone they could. Rick Mahorn would be out of the league. Yeah, Bill and Beard, they would all be out of the league in the first month.
Oh yeah,
that's all I'm saying. Like, you know how, like, remember it was a few years. It was like last year. I think John Moran it was an interview, I think, with Taylor Rooks, and they're asking, like, hey, 1-on-1 with Michael Jordan. He's like, I would cook him. Do you think anybody anybody in the 90s would have said that during an interview about Michael Jordan? No, they wouldn't do that. But like this younger age, That's how they are. So I really do think, and again, it's not a spite or disrespect to Mike and how great he was. That's just how this is now. Is like they wouldn't fear him the way that people used to.
Look, man, one of the greats, and y'all know, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant has said it even after he stopped playing. When Kobe Bryant can tell you, yeah, he was that one. One. I don't think kids really truly understand. And kids say that Kobe Bryant was their one. I'm like, y'all can only imagine what Jordan really brought to the game. Like him to go up against those bad teams. Man,
look, remember LeBron said about him too. Like,
exactly.
LeBron said about you that was that dude. But that's what I guess that's the other thing too. Is like I think before a lot of people were just like, oh my gosh, that's Mike, that's Kobe, or that maybe for some, that was Braun. Now it's, oh, this is that dude. All right, no, I want him.
I want him. Yeah.
They like I said, they don't. Maybe it is still somewhat of a respect, but it's a different type. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I remember Kobe was saying the story before he passed. God rest his soul. Back when he was still in Philly, I think in high school, and he was talking about how, they were in like a pickup game in the off season, and everyone else is like calling him Black Jesus, Black Cat, right? And Kobe's like, "It's Mike." Like that's my, but like that, I think that's how some of this younger generation is now too. And again, it's not even from the same type of respect. Like Kobe, I think calling him Mike was giving him that respect. This younger generation is more so of like, he ain't all that. Like that, I'm all that too. I got him. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think a lot of that though also is, I think we're now at that time frame where we're so far from the Jordan era.
Yeah, you're right.
These kids,
absolutely,
none of them grew up seeing Jordan play. It's only highlights and hearsay. Yep. So most of us here are lucky enough to say we watched Jordan play. We've seen Kobe play. We've seen LeBron play. We've seen Steph play. Like these kids in the league now, like Ja, he can make that kind of comment and not understand. Jordan would just grip him and send him wherever Jordan wanted to send him. Like Ja, I think he could just get off like that. Right.
Keep saying it.
he would guide him wherever he wanted to go. So it's just, I think we're far out, because I know when I was young, I would have been like Dr. J, Iceman. I'm like, these dudes are trash. Like, just because I only saw highlights, I didn't get to see them play. So it's just, I'm getting old now. I guess that's what it is. Like,
no, absolutely.
Yeah,
a couple of us got to see 4 generations of it, the 80s too.
Yeah,
true. I think social media has a part to play with that too, though. Like,
absolutely,
we see everybody highlights all the time. Because I mean, again, like even to an extent, and again, I'm in terms of reverence. I'm not talking about greatness right now. I'm talking about reverence.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, LeBron is not revered in the same light that Michael Jordan was, but you see even some of these young guys, they're not afraid to go at LeBron. They're not afraid to do that. They've seen them. They've watched him and all these different assets and facets. You didn't do that with Michael Jordan, like for the people that were growing up with him, right? And so I think that's a big part of it too, where because you didn't get to see Michael as much outside of, maybe it was on NBC, was the song Round Ball Rock, best intro song ever for a sport. Like that, like that's when you got to see that person. Now you get to see all these people all the time. And I think it kind of wanes off kind of that shine, that chic on them. Because like I said, you see people trying to go at LeBron. Even you see people want to go at Steph. You see people want to go at, even when Kobe was still Kobe, you saw people trying to go at him. Mm-hmm. But I mean, even I think there was that one thing. I think it was a USA basketball practice with Kyrie and Kobe,
mm-hmm.
and Kyrie's talking about, "Oh yeah, I beat you in 1-on-1," and this was like his first year in the NBA. And it's just like, huh? You think somebody their first year in the NBA would have tried Michael like that in his prime? Absolutely not. I don't think so.
Unless you're Allen Iverson.
Unless you're out. Exactly.
However, someone
the
right at him.
crossover.
That's a good
Yes,
call.
sir.
That's a good call.
Double
So,
crossover.
again, it's like you can count in like maybe on like a couple of fingers who would actually try Mike like that.
Absolutely.
You can do it for your fingers, your toes, you name it. Who would try all the greats now in this era? Like
funny,
that. That's a big part of it.
It's crazy you brought that game up. You remember his teammate, Mr. Jerry Stackhouse, called him out too, and he gave him double nickel. Remember when you called out Michael Jordan, what happened?
Yep.
He took that personal.
And you remember what Michael said to AI too after he crossed him.
I took that personal.
No, he said like you I can't be one of your favorite players. You cross me like that.
Yeah.
You must not like me. You cross me like that.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with what Danielle said earlier when she said LeBron James will never really be respected until he's retired. I totally agree. Like we don't, as older ones, we are totally watching history being had. We enjoy the pure passion, the pure fandom in us is like, I don't think they understand the greatness that's going on. Like 20 years of doing what he's doing right now. I'm honestly sitting here watching certain things like we might not ever see this again. Like, I don't think people truly understand 20 years grinding on those legs and your body and everything, like how many key gems he's given to this game, that people truly understand that he wasn't trying to go out to be the scoring leader that he is, and the longevity of how he's been doing it to be in the finals, 9 years in a row, like I don't think truly that's something that, whether win or loss, that's insane what you guys are seeing. And that's something that now you need to watch. Kids, watch yourselves when you're looking at Steph and how he's shooting. You might not ever see somebody ever shoot this great again. Now kids get to go into their old, years talking about, I got to see the greatest shooter ever. I mean, the man would shoot and turn around like he was the one that, invent like stuff like that is something memorable. Kids don't understand. Like, we remember Michael Jordan soaring through the air. We remember the no-look pass. You know what I'm saying? The getting dunked on, Vince Carter's and everything like that between the legs, the Isaiah Riders, the East Town, the East Bay Funk. All that stuff, that's originated in stuff in our minds, where you guys are getting to see Steph, the Splash Brothers, Zion and stuff like that. Appreciate greatness for real, because it's not everywhere. It's not everywhere,
that's facts.
man.
That's facts. It's funny you talk about that kind of stuff. Like, I remember the finals, Bulls Lakers, the hand switch. I remember the next day, that's all I did in the park was try to mimic that. I was like, that was like the greatest thing I've seen on a basketball court. And I probably went all summer trying to do that. I mean, obviously it's Mike, I was built to play football, but basketball was my favorite sport. So
absolutely,
I'll never forget those kind of things. And it's like you're saying, kids now, they see Steph shooting 45 footers. I know they're going outside and that's what they're doing. Because that's what they've seen. Yeah. And it's cool. It's a good thing. And I'll say this to Dub Nation real quick, since we talking Warriors around here. What bothers me about certain Warriors fans is they try to diminish LeBron's greatness. And it's really counterproductive, because they'll want to lift Steph up and say Steph's better, it's Steph's era. Cool, I'm with all of that. But you don't have to diminish LeBron's greatness to elevate Steph. If anything, LeBron being that great makes Steph that much better.
Yes.
It's
people don't understand
people
that.
don't get that.
True.
They do not understand that until
That's
it's over.
true.
Like
they do
4
not
finals with
understand
two of the greatest players of all time.
Exactly.
And y'all, LeBron's terrible. Like, no, LeBron is one of the greatest players of all time.
Ever.
Yes.
Like, I'm a Laker fan, but I be as a Laker, our guest said, I would be crazy to sit up here and not give credit to LeBron and be an historian to what he's done and appreciate the greatness around, and be like, hold on, he might not have won every championship, but do y'all know how hard and difficult it is? There are some teams that have yet to even be in the finals, let alone play for it. and 9 years straight that you can say for this conference, he's going to win that. He's going to win that. He's going to like to go to a whole different conference and still say he'll win that one too, or he has a possibility to win that. Y'all don't understand greatness when it's right in front of you, man. And I sit back and I'm just in awe of like when you look at somebody who can do something for 5 years, right? Running down, with the hair, his eyes being closed, him counting out the steps on a blind dunk. You know what I'm saying?
Harder than it looks.
Right, exactly.
Right.
I go back to the years of when I was a kid, and I was in middle school, Michigan, the Fab Five, wearing black socks,
right,
wearing baggy shorts,
right.
Like for them to change and be revolutionized. I had a shortcut back then, but to revolutionize and look at the game from that way and to hate Duke. I hated Duke growing up. It didn't even
do.
But you know what though? Being a basketball historian, I hated them because of how good and how smart they was as a team. Because if you look back at how good they played, that style to win and to beat what we thought was supposed to be so dominant, a UNLV team, UNLV was dominating teams back then. Not winning, dominating. I'm talking 35, 40-point wins in tournaments, dominating. Stacey Augman, Anderson Hunt. I remember watching all that.
Grandmama.
I trust me. Greg Anthony was a point guard. I remember watching all this stuff. It's like to know basketball and to see this and to watch Bob Hurley and Grant Hill. Who hated Grant Hill back then? Grant Hill, had he not gotten hurt, might have been one of the greatest players we have ever seen. And that's a promise if he wouldn't have not gotten hurt. Trust me on that.
Not even debatable.
He was a walking, arguable triple-double. He was giving everybody in the league business back then.
We can be honest about that. Grant Hill was next.
Yes, he was.
Grant Hill was next. It was his
he
league.
was.
Yeah.
Listen to everybody. They say he was LeBron before LeBron.
Facts.
But it's crazy. Like I'm so happy that Rod brought up the whole Duke point, because that's one thing I think that even got passed on to my generation. Right. Yeah. It was, unless you were a fan of Duke, you hated Duke.
You hated them.
Like, so even it was like, for me, it was Carlos Boozer, JJ Redick, Sheldon Williams, Jay Williams, like all those dudes. Like it really carried over. And it's just crazy how I think about it and how we're having this conversation, how some basketball trends and agendas carried over and some don't. Right. Like we can all agree to we carry on to hate Duke. Well, maybe not now as much because they got some more black players that play for the team. So we still hate Duke over here. So respect at least a little bit. But again, when it comes to talking about how we view some of those great players, the reverence that we have from that it's changed. Because again, I think someone said before about how we have all these different eras, and we were great to see these different eras and different play styles. Like for me, it was I started off with the MJ fadeaway, and then it was the AI crossover, and then there's the Dirk fadeaway. How you do it off the one leg, right? And then there's I want to dunk like Shaq. And then it's I want to dunk like LeBron, and then you want to shoot like Steph. I got to see all those different eras from my standpoint too. So I appreciate them, but it's just crazy how I feel like there's that certain reverence for some of those older players that were there, versus how it is now. It's like, oh no, they ain't that good because this player, they do this and they do that, and it's almost kind of like how the game is played now, how it kind of taints certain records and certain milestones. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people now, they don't really understand how good players had to be to get to those in the first place.
Jordan, you speak of that, and kids look at Luka Doncic right now, and all we say, us old ones, we all say, if y'all saw Larry Bird in my era, y'all would be like, oh, I get it. Oh, I understand what they're talking about. Yep. The only thing that Luka is missing is a jump shot. Trust me, y'all, kids. Luka gets a jump shot like Bird, it's over for the league. He will own this league.
When we were talking about
when
we were talking about the GOAT talk, I was like, how are we going to forget Larry Bird? How are we going to forget Kareem? How are we going to forget Magic Johnson?
Yes.
Julius Erving was referenced once. I could go on and on. Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, but you are right. When Luka gets like a 3-point shot like Larry Bird, he doesn't even need to be athletic. Larry Bird wasn't athletic. He's one of the greatest players and arguably one of the greatest shooters of all time.
But I guess that's the thing too. You brought up Kareem. I think a lot of people in this day and age, like not us, but younger people, they look at Kareem. Oh, he only had one shot. It's like, how do you only have one shot and you're the all-time leading scorer in NBA history?
Right.
You know, but like that's how they view it. And I think even, you know, when you talk about Luka, it's you see a lot of the records that Luka's breaking, they're LeBron's records in terms of the youngest player to do this, youngest player to do that, youngest player, yada, yada, yada. And so that all of a sudden everyone thinks, oh, that must not be that hard to do, or that's not like that crazy of a feat. Yes, it is. Remember, because again, I don't think people understand at this point. LeBron, when he first came in the league, you didn't really see anything like him when he first came in the league.
Absolutely.
In terms of at that age doing what he was doing.
Right. One of one. One of one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of one.
He was one of one. So people didn't get that. So that's what I'm saying in terms, I think, with some of these records, especially obviously, like it's just so much of a much more fast-paced game. When they see some of these offensive records and stats being broken, they think it's you know, it's not that big of a deal for the person that broke it. It's like, no, it actually is that big of a deal.
To add on to what you're saying, though, Jordan, and let me make reference to something. I think historians-wise, and I speak for us, old heads, Jordan is respected on the court. But off the court, Jordan had a gambling problem. He had other issues. Like, we don't have any blemishes when it comes to LeBron. And that's something I don't think people truly, they take for granted because of society and how it is now. We're part of this whole clickbait, you know, social media phenomenon. And you have yet to bring anything up or about LeBron and the way that he has handled his whole entire life. To hear the background of how he grew up and everything, and to still walk around here the way that he does, and to handle himself the proper way that he is handled each and every time. It's not a do-over in his position. I think people really skip and miss over the fact. And even when you look at the only, and I'm just being honest, the only thing that you can look at is an issue that his son did. Key word, his son did. His son did that. But on him, you can't bring anything off the court when it comes to LeBron. What are you going to talk about? Him getting the Hummer?
I mean, look,
everybody knew that.
The decision. That's it.
The decision, right? Is the only LeBron. And to me, that wasn't even really a blemish.
You can't, come on, he still won.
He did with it. Nobody I've seen come into the league have that much pressure on him. He was crowned before he entered the league.
And still surpassed it.
Right. He surpassed the expectations that were placed upon him, and that's wild in itself. Absolutely. With that being said, I can argue Luka has had the greatest career start that I've ever seen. Like his first, 5 seasons? I don't think I've seen any player do what he's done in their first 5 seasons at this level.
I agree.
Very, very fair. And I'm
not arguing that.
And that's what I was saying before in terms of because he has, I think people diminish, like, and again, not us, right. Younger group, they diminish exactly how good LeBron was because after LeBron, Luka has been now the youngest to reach this point milestone or this assist milestone or this milestone. And it's like, I don't think y'all realize how hard exactly that was or how great LeBron was to get to those milestones. But that's also what a lot of people do for some of the greats before LeBron, right? And Kobe and Michael, and the list goes on and on.
And to be fair also, though, it's funny when we look at it, Luka had an advantage as he played in Europe. He was playing with pros at 16, right? He's playing with pros. LeBron did this coming out of high school. Like, he was playing me, Rod, and Jordan. Like nightly. I
Absolutely.
mean, they had better players,
Right,
obviously.
right,
They were
right,
up here,
right,
but
right.
I don't know. I might lock Luka up when he was
oh, okay.
16.
You might have gave him
That's
some
just
issues.
me.
You might have gave him some issues.
There you
So
go. Hey, but shout out to all the women here, but shout out to Savannah for her putting up the stuff that she's had to put up as well. I don't think people for a woman's perspective, or with only one woman on the panel right now that will ever be even close to it. But you got to consider what she had to go through 9 years straight of dealing with a man going to the finals every year and the exposure that he gets every night and what's going on behind closed doors that we only see, that we don't get to see. And
And
she
Miss
only
Gloria,
gets to
too.
hear about. Like, that's hey,
And
man. Shout out to them women in his life, man. That really
yeah.
keep him humbled and whole, man. Shout out to you women that hold us down for real, man. We
Shout
appreciate y'all.
out Miss Gloria James, his mom, too.
indeed.
Man.
I gotta say shout out real quick to Keith in the chat. I didn't get to recognize you, but
Shout out to you,
that's
Keith.
my homie. And thank you for joining in the chat.
Appreciate you.
I know that Sons Geek has to get going, and my back is tore up, so I'm gonna have to get going myself. How about you guys? You guys can keep it going. I don't care.
I mean,
No, we can get out of here.
As
Yeah,
much
we
as
can
I would
show.
love to keep talking NBA history with y'all,
Yeah.
I got some other things I got to go do right now.
Understand?
This
real
was
talk,
fun.
Yeah, I was gonna
Oh,
say
absolutely.
if any of y'all ever want to come on my channel, talk some basketball, talk some NBA history, just hit me up.
Tell me
Indeed.
when.
Love
Tell me
to.
when in the
Let
world.
me
I'll
know
hit you guys
too,
up.
please.
I need some
Yes,
outside
absolutely.
perspective. You know what I mean? I need some NBA historians on my show. You know what I
I
mean?
love it.
Gina, I'm
I
so
love
happy
it.
you put that up because I was gonna highlight it if you didn't. Actually, no. Let's put it back up. I really want to highlight that.
Yeah, do it.
Of women being the backbone of this world, because that is I couldn't emphasize that much more. And that being said, because I know we've been talking about a lot of basketball and a lot of basketball history. For anyone who's been paying attention, watching, you're in the comments, pay attention to the damn WNBA. Like, if you truly are as big of a basketball fan as you say you are, watch that league. It's so good. I mean, in terms of, Rod, you and I, we were talking about, we did a Warrior show last week. We're talking about fundamentals, being as good at fundamentals as possible, how that translates to every position on the floor. Nobody does fundamentals better than the women's game does.
Absolutely.
Nobody does. Whether that's, the college game. Like, I'm a big fan of women's college basketball. Shout out Stanford, obviously, with that.
Go Cardinal.
Card, we're right there, number 2 in the country right now, 2 All-Americans with shout out Haley Jones and Cameron Brink. But
yes, love Cameron Brink and Haley.
They're incredible. But
yes.
No, again, like if you really are a true fan of basketball, like if you say you are, watch the women's game, because if you don't, then you don't really love the game like you say you do. And that's all I got to say about that.
Candace Parker, Diana Taurasi, I could go up and down, man. They're just, it's sad that that's the way it is, especially with the whole payment, how they get paid and all that.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
I remember when Diana Taurasi was in high school. She's 2 years behind me. She went to Don Lugo High School. Nice. She was dominating back in school. She had an older sister. Me and her sister graduated. I think her name was I forgot her name. But anyway, I think we were the same, are the same age. They won. Yeah, all that. I remember that year. Yeah,
I still remember one time it was the SEC championship, and it was Tennessee versus LSU. I saw Candace Parker versus Sylvia Fowles. That was a phenomenal game.
I remember being a kid watching a sister that last name is Miller at USC. She played with Lisa Leslie at USC. She might have been the greatest female ever.
What, did Cheryl score like
I wonder.
That story that she had in the car with Reggie Miller is still one of the funniest stories of all time. I love that.
She was a baller.
Yes.
Go. I got to actually see her in college. Trust me. She was She was that. She was that for real.
He absolutely was.
Oh, Keith went to school with Diana Taurasi.
Wow.
Don Lugo, see, he knows I'm telling the truth.
Wait, at Michigan, right? Go Blue. I know. My friend lives in Michigan, so I low key root for University of Michigan. Just low key.
Who's Michigan though? Who's Michigan? Where'd you get Michigan from?
They're the team that lost to TCU.
Keith went to Michigan.
The team that lost to
Actually, I was confused. I was like,
Keith.
Hey,
okay,
real funny though, real quick. Ever since the Malice at the Palace, I've never rooted for a Michigan team. Like, I took it personal. Like, I was like, I cannot root for anybody from Michigan.
One of the darkest days in NBA history.
That
was bad.
You know what's funny? I remember where I was.
Yeah,
I remember where I was when it happened.
Really?
I
that was before social media was this big. That was bad.
I saw it on the news. I didn't watch it, but I saw it and they were like ESPN Sports Center, and I was like, "Oh shit! What the hell happened?"
I remember watching that game. It was a Friday night. I remember it. It was a Friday night. I remember about to go to the club.
Oh, high school.
And that mug came on there. Yeah. I was here in Atlanta. Yep.
Funny thing about it is,
was it a 4X or a 5XL T-shirt you had on, Rob?
I think 4.
Oh, it had to be
easily 4.
Oh, my bad, Keith.
On my feet. Yeah.
It was high school, not college. My bad, Keith.
Oh, okay.
And shout out to Ghost, aka Reggie.
What up, Reg?
He was in the chat too. You can find me at the club. Okay. All right. Watching and Warriors Roundup. Steph returns /Suns with our special guest, Suns Geek. You can follow him on TikTok and YouTube. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody you're at and where they can find you?
Yeah, it's just at Suns Geek. I mean, whether it's YouTube or TikTok, Instagram, just follow me. I'm always posting stuff. Like I said, win or lose, I'm always going to be posting on the Suns Geek channel. And I'd appreciate anybody if you guys want to follow me. Like I said, if any of y'all or all of y'all want to come on my channel, I'd welcome you guys in a minute. This was a good show, especially the NBA history part. We could have spent like 5 hours talking NBA history. Absolutely. But I got some other things I got to do. The Suns are currently playing right now. We're getting our asses kicked, so I got to go.
they need you, my guy.
I also thought he was about to say, it's a slogan. I know it is for Colorado. Win or lose, he still boos. Like that. I thought that's where he was going to go with that. So,
nah, man, win or lose, I don't care if we're the worst team in the league. I'm up in the stands, being the loudest fan I can be. You know what I mean?
Might as well be a Falcons fan. That's how I used to be.
Thanks everyone in the chat. And Jordan, you want to send us off?
Oh yeah, I'll send us. Sure. So everyone, thanks again for tuning in, catching us talk about the Warriors and Suns and NBA history. And like I said, if you truly love basketball, like you say you do, watch the WNBA, watch women's college basketball, watch the women's game. It is a beautiful game of basketball. You will not be disappointed. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe, hit the follow button, tell a friend to tell a friend in the way that Rod says it. And we will see you. Actually, we'll see you tomorrow because we got some playoff football to preview tomorrow as well. So hope everyone has a good night, and we'll see you then.
Peace.
Bye.
Laters.